morning po, sir. Ba't po kayo napalita sa ER?
I've been experienced fever po for almost 3 days na po. Tapos yung katawan ko parang nanghihina na po. Tapos may masakit po part sa bandang tiyan ko po. Then na-observe ko po na parang may dugo po sa tae ko. Kaya naparito po ako sa ER.
Okay po, sir. So, i-check ko lang pa muna yung vital signs nyo at sabihan ko pa lang po si Doc. Good morning, sir. So, sinabihan na po ako ng nurse na nag-check sa inyo about the symptoms and na-experience nyo po. So, magkuha po muna kami ng laboratory test para lang po i-confirm kung ulcerative colitis ba to siya, since yung sinasabi niyo po symptoms i-connected sa ulcerative colitis. So for now, sir, magbibigay lang po ako ng medication ha. So itong medication na po, sir, is nagre-lessen siya ng sakit sa tiyan and then nagre-lessen din yung fever niyo po. And dapat din po, sir, mag-inom kayo ng maraming tubig ha.
Noted po, Doc. Pero ang tanong ka lang po, ano yung ulcerative colitis?
Ulcerative colitis is a chronic inflammatory disease limited to the colon and rectum. It is characterized by continuous inflammation, superficial involvement of mucosa and submucosa. Disease always begins in the rectum.
In ulcerative colitis, the inflammation is confined to the mucosal layer of the colon, where an abnormal immune response damages the epithelial lining and mucous barrier, which makes the tissue more fragile and easily injured. So it leads to the loss of the absorptive surface, wherein yung colon, it can no longer effectively absorb yung water and electrolytes. So it results also in watery diarrhea and dehydration. So persistent inflammation causes ulceration of the mucosa, exposing blood vessels, which leads to bleeding in the rectal and bloody stools. So as healing occurs alongside repeated injury, there's areas of regenerating tissues protrude into the bowel lumen, so forming pseudo polyps. So in severe cases naman, the intense inflammatory process paralyzes the colonic smooth muscle and causes massive dilation of the colon, known as the toxic megacolon, which can lead to perforation, sepsis, and life-threatening complications.
The exact cause of ulcerative colitis is unknown or idiopathic. Ulcerative colitis is influenced by several factors, including genetic, environmental, and lifestyle risk factors, including a strong genetic predisposition such as mutations in immune-regulating genes like NOD2, which makes individuals more susceptible to abnormal inflammatory responses, especially when there is a family history of inflammatory bowel disease. Smoking is considered the strongest modifiable risk factors for disease development and relapse in many patients, while an altered gut microbiota can disrupt immune tolerance and promote chronic inflammation. A diet high in fats and refined carbohydrates also contributes by promoting intestinal inflammation and unfavorable bacterial growth. Although stress does not directly cause ulcerative colitis, it is a well-recognized trigger for disease exacerbations, worsening symptoms, and increasing the likelihood of flares.
Patient with ulcerative colitis commonly presents with prominent gastrointestinal manifestation such as bloody diarrhea, mucus in the stool, tenesmus, a painful and a constant urge to defecate, left lower quadrant abdominal pain, and bowel urgency that may lead to incontinence due to rectal inflammations. As the disease progresses, systemic manifestations develop including fever, profound fatigue, unintentional weight loss, anemia from chronic blood loss, and dehydration caused by persistent diarrhea. In addition, ulcerative colitis may produce extraintestinal manifestations because of immune-mediated inflammations, affecting other organs, leading to conditions such as primary sclerosing, cholangitis, arthritis, uveitis, and painful skin lesions like pyoderma gangrenosum.
So, in ulcerative colitis, diagnostic evaluation typically shows characteristic laboratory, endoscopic, and imaging findings. Laboratory tests often reveals elevated ESR and CRP reflecting active inflammation along with anemia from chronic intestinal bleeding. So, hypokalemia due to ongoing diarrhea and hypoalbuminemia caused by protein loss and poor absorption. So, then the colonoscopy with biopsy is the gold standard for diagnosis and usually demonstrate continuous lesions starting from the rectum, a friable and erythematous mucosa, and the presence of pseudopolyps formed by repeated cycles of ulceration and healing. Then after that, abdominal x-ray is used to assess for complication, particularly to rule out toxic megacolon, which presents as marked colonic dilatation and is a medical emergency.
In the nursing management of ulcerative colitis, treatment involves both pharmacologic and supportive care, aimed at controlling inflammation, relieving symptoms, and preventing complications. Aminosalicylates are used as first-line therapy to reduce mucosal inflammation, while corticosteroids are prescribed for moderate to severe flares to suppress immune activity. Immunomodulators and biologic therapies are used in patients with refractory or severe disease to control the abnormal immune response. Antiviral agents may be given cautiously to avoid precipitating toxic megacolon. Non-pharmacologic nursing care includes providing nutritional therapy to prevent malnutrition, maintaining fluid and electrolyte balance to manage dehydration, ensuring proper perineal skincare to prevent breakdown from frequent stools, and offering emotional support and psychosocial support to help patients cope with the chronic nature of the disease. For patients requiring surgery, such as a colectomy, nurses play a vital role in preoperative preparation and postoperative care, including monitoring for complications, managing ostomy care if present, and supporting recovery and adjustment.
Patients with ulcerative colitis should understand that it is a chronic inflammatory disease of the colon that may have periods of flare-ups and remission. They need to take medications as prescribed by the doctor, including aminosalicylates, which is the first-line treatment to reduce the inflammation in the lining of the colon and maintain remission. So, example of aminosalicylates is the mesalamine, and next medication is corticosteroids, which can rapidly decrease inflammation during acute flare-ups. Example of this is prednisone, which is not for long-term use due to its side effects. So next we have the immunomodulators, which suppresses the immune system to prevent it from attacking the colon. So example of this we have the azathioprine, and lastly is the biologics, which targets specific immune proteins which causes inflammation. Example of this is the vedolizumab. So these medications helps to control inflammation and prevent relapses, which then maintaining a balanced diet, avoiding foods high in fat and refined sugars, and staying well hydrated are essential. Patients should avoid smoking, implementing strategies to manage stress, which can trigger exacerbations. So they should be able to recognize warning signs such as severe abdominal pain, high fever, bloody diarrhea, or sudden worsening of symptoms, and seek medication attention promptly. For those undergoing surgery, patients require guidance on pre- and post-operative care, including ostomy management if applicable, emotional support, regular follow-ups, and also a colon cancer screening are also important due to the long-term risks associated with chronic inflammation.
So, good morning, sir. Ba't po kayo naparito sa ER?
I woke up po this morning. I've been having a sharp chirping pain sa lower abdomen ko. And ilang beses na po ako pabalik-balik sa CR. Tapos po, this past few days, nagkakaroon din po ako ng fever. And yung thought po na kakain pala makes me nauseous. I know po may something's wrong about me.
So, okay po sir, bago po yan, i-check ko muna ang vital signs niyo at sasabihan ko lang po si Doc.
Hello sir, so sinabihan na po ako ng nurse na nagkuha kanina sa inyo po about the symptoms na naranasan niyo po. So magkuha po muna kami ng laboratory test para lang po confirm if Crohn's disease po to. Since yung mga symptoms po na naranasan niyo po is connected siya sa Crohn's disease. So for now sir magbibigay na po muna ako ng gamot para lang po malesen ang mawala yung sakit sa tiyan niyo po and yung fever.
Question lang po, ano po yung Crohn's disease? Crohn's disease is a chronic, transmural inflammatory disorder that can affect any part of the gastrointestinal tract from the mouth to the anus, most commonly involving the terminal ileum and colon. Hallmark features of Crohn's disease include transmural inflammation, skin lesions, granuloma formation, and high risk for complications such as fistulas and strictures.
The inflammation in Crohn's disease extends through all layers of the bowel wall. Chronic inflammation leads to fibrosis, which causes luminal narrowing and the formation of strictures. Deep ulcerations may penetrate the bowel wall, resulting in fistula formation. When the terminal ileum is involved, malabsorption of vitamin B12 and valsats may occur, contributing to nutritional deficiencies.
The exact etiology of Crohn's disease is unknown, but it is considered multifactorial. So, several risk factors contribute to the development and exacerbation of the disease. This includes a strong genetic predisposition, such as mutations in the NOD2 gene, and also smoking, which is the strongest modifiable risk factor. A family history of inflammatory bowel disease alter the gut microbiota, which is a diet high in fats and refined carbohydrates, and stress, which can trigger disease flares.
Next is the Crohn's disease presents with gastrointestinal, systematic, and extraintestinal manifestation. The gastrointestinal symptoms typically include chronic non-bloody diarrhea, right lower quadrant abdominal pain, weight loss, malabsorption, steatorrhea, nausea, and vomiting, and perineal disease which may involve fistulas, abscesses, and skin tags. The systematic manifestation includes fatigue, fever, anemia due to iron or vitamin B12 deficiency, and delayed growth and puberty in children. Extraintestinal manifestation can involve arthritis, ankylosing, spondylitis, uveitis, erythema nodosum, osteoporosis, and kidney stone due to oxalate absorption. Next is the Crohn's disease can lead to significant complication including intestinal obstruction, fistulas and abscesses, malnutrition, short bowel syndrome, colorectal cancer, and sepsis. So early recognition and proper management are essential to prevent or minimizing this serious outcome in these diseases. Ikat na.
Laboratory findings in Crohn's disease may show elevated ESR and CRP, anemia, hypoalbuminemia, electrolyte imbalances, and elevated fecal calprotectin. Colonoscopy with biopsy still remains the gold standard for diagnosis, often revealing skip lesions, a cobblestone appearance, obtuse ulcers, and transmural inflammation. Imaging modalities such as CT or MR integrography and capsule endoscopy are useful for evaluating small bowel involvement.
Management of Crohn's disease involve both pharmacologic and non-pharmacologic intervention. Pharmacologic treatment includes aminosalicylates for mild disease, corticosteroid for acute exacerbations, immunomodulators such as azathioprine and methotrexate, biologic agent like anti-TNF drugs, and anti-intergent agent, and antibiotics for fistulas or abscesses. Non-pharmacologic nursing intervention focus on nutritional support, including a high-calorie, high-protein diets and external or parenteral nutrition if required. Vitamins and mineral supplementations, a low residue diet during flare smoking, cessations, counseling, stress reduction strategies and pain management, monitoring intake and output, and ostomy educations are also important component of cure.
Next is the Crohn's disease can lead to significant complication including intestinal obstruction, fistulas and abscesses, malnutrition, short bowel syndrome, colorectal cancer, and sepsis. So early recognition and proper management are essential to prevent or minimizing this serious outcome in these diseases. Ikat
Patient education is an essential component of Crohn's disease management. The nurse ensures that patients understand the chronic nature of disease, its potential complications, and the importance of adhering to prescribed medication. Patients are taught about dietary modifications, including maintaining a high-calorie, high-protein diet and following a low-residue diet during flare-ups. The nurse educates patients on a lifestyle adjustments such as smoking cessations and stress reduction strategies to help prevention exacerbation. Additionally, patients are instructed on recognizing warning signs of complications, including severe abdominal pain, persistent diarrhea, fever, or sign of infections are advised on when to seek immediate medications attention. Education also covers self-care practice including monitoring intake and output, maintaining hydrations, and, if applicable,
A
caring of
client with
for an
ulcerative
ostomy by
colitis is
providing
hospitalized
comprehensive
for an
education.
acute
The nurse
flare.
empower the
The nurse
patients to
assesses the
actively
client and reviews
participate
the
in their
following
care,
findings. So which
make
finding
informed
requires the
decisions, and
most
maintain
immediate
the best
nursing
possible quality
intervention?
of
A. 6 to 8 loose bloody stools per day. B. Serum albumin level of 2.7 grams deciliter. C. Temperature of 38.9 Celsius or 102 Fahrenheit. D. Complaints of fatigue and weight loss. So, a client with ulcerative colitis, which is hospitalized siya for an acute flare. So, ang need hanapin natin is, we need to find the condition which requires the most immediate nursing intervention. So, first, A, 6 to 8 loose bloody stools per day. So, the A is not the answer. So, why? Since kasi yung 6 to 8 loose bloody stools per day, it is an expected outcome of the acute flare-ups. So, it is the hallmark symptoms. Pero it is not the most urgent finding. So, next we have the serum albumin level of 2.7 grams deciliter. So, it is also not the correct answer since it does not require immediate emergency intervention among these conditions or among these choices. So, next we have the complaints of fatigue and weight loss. So, this is a long-term finding. So, these complaints of fatigue and weight loss is a long-term finding wherein hindi siya immediate priority but it is a long-term finding and or yung intervention na gagawin nito is long-term. So, lastly is the C. Temperature of 38.9 Celsius or 102 Fahrenheit. So, this is the answer. So, why? Since temperature kasi, it suggests a severe inflammation wherein it indicates toxic megacolon or sepsis. So, this temperature, it represents a life-threatening condition which requires immediate medical intervention. So, the correct answer is letter C.
For questions number 2 for ulcerative colitis. So, a 24 years old patient with ulcerative colitis is admitted due to a frequent bloody diarrhea and abdominal cramping, which nursing intervention is a priority during the acute phase of the disease. Pag sinabi natin acute phase of disease, kumbaga nasa intense stage na siya. Disease. So before natin siya sagutin, identify muna natin ano yung disease, ano ba yung disease niya. So nakalagay kasi dito is ulcerative colitis. Yan yung disease ng patient natin. Pag sinabi natin din ulcerative colitis, nakalagay is, yung mga sinabi niya is, meron frequent bloody diarrhea and abdominal cramping. Yan yung siya. Tapos identify muna natin yung ano yung situation ng patient sa nakalagay acute phase of the disease. Tapos pag sinabi natin acute phase, pag sinabi natin itong acute phase, dapat intindihan natin yung priority is a safety and stabilization. So meron tayong mga choices na nakalagay. Wait lang. So may mga choices tayo na nakalagay na encourage a high fiber diet to improve bowel movement. B. Monitor intake and output and assess for the sign of dehydration. C. Administer laxative to prevent constipation. And D. Encourage ambulation after meals to promote digestion. So before natin sagutin, wag muna natin sagutin or maghanap agad ng tamang sagot. I-identify muna natin siya isa-isa para malaman natin kung yun na ba talaga yung tamang sagot. So, may nagawa na ako dito which is, yung first choices niya is, yung first choices niya nakalagay, encourage a high fiber diet to improve bowel movement. Bakit pa natin siya i-encourage pa na high fiber diet if yung patient is mayroon na siyang diarrhea? Kasi pag sinabi natin dito kasi nakalagay high fiber diet, which is alam na natin na mali na yan sagot kasi yung patient natin is may diarrhea, tapos ibigay mo pa ng high fiber diet, mas lalo lumala yung diarrhea niya kasi yung high fiber diet is naga-worsen pa yung diarrhea. Tapos yung rule natin dito is during acute UC clear pwede siya dapat i-prioritize natin yung low residue, low fiber diet. So ito pa lang kasi may nakalagay is high fiber diet, which is itong intervention na to is magkakaroon pa siya to make the symptoms worse pa. So ito mali na siya. So i-X na natin siya. So meron na tayo dito is yung B, C, and D. So yung A is highlight na natin siya kasi alam na natin na mali ito siya. Highlight na natin siya. And after nun, next na naman tayo sa letter B. So alam na natin yung A is mali, kaya jump na tayo sa A. May possible pa tayo sa B. May possible pa tayong sagot sa B, C, and D. So let's go to letter B. So sa letter B naman is sinabi niya is monitor intake and output, assess for signs of dehydration. So dito naman is pag sinabi nating yung patient is may diarrhea, dapat sabi natin pag yung patient is may diarrhea, syempre nawawala yung fluid and electrolyte sa kanyang katawan kasi may diarrhea siya since nakalagay din is acute phase of disease. So pag sinabi natin is intake and output, like detect early signs of dehydration. Kunin natin yung low urine output, dark urine, dry mucous membrane. Yan yung mga input and output niya. So to prevent serious complications such as shock and acute kidney injury. So nakalagay din kasi siya is signs for dehydration. So yung dehydration, 'di ba, yun yung parang yung detect early sign of dehydration, parang yung mga low urine output, dark urine, tapos yung dry mucous membranes. So ito, alam naman natin yung pag sinabi natin diarrhea, ito talaga yung unang gagawin natin is to monitor the intake and output of the patient para malalaman natin kung ano ba talaga yung disease meron siya. Ay, para dito pa lang is na-identify na natin anong disease meron siya. So for the, alam na natin na possible, yung B is yung sagot. So i-check muna natin yung B. So possible itong B. So last na meron pa na iwan C and D. Pero wag muna natin sagutin yung letter B. Tapos i-check muna natin yung C and D, baka may mas magandang sagot pa sa letter B. So for letter C naman, we have administered laxative to prevent constipation. So may nagawa ko dito. So for letter C, we have administered laxative to prevent constipation. Laxative are used for constipation. Ginagamit natin siya to use for constipation. Tapos yung ulcerative kasi, yung ulcerative colitis natin, wait lang. Yung ulcerative colitis natin, which is yung UC, para mas madali na natin explain, is meron siya mga causes diarrhea. So pag sabi natin, if yung patient is may diarrhea, tapos binigay pa natin ng laxative, can cause siya ng severe. Pwede siya mag-cause ng severe dehydration. Kasi binigay kasi natin siya ng laxative eh. Tapos, pwede din siya, if bigyan natin ng laxative yung patient may ulcerative colitis, pwede din siya magkakaroon ng electrolyte imbalance. So, mas lumala yung condition ng patient natin. Tapos, this choice, kumbaga, dangerous siya sa patient natin. Baka pwede siya ikakamatay sa patient natin kasi nawawala na yung electrolyte sa kanyang katawan. Tapos, bibigyan pa natin siya ng laxative. So, magkakaroon pa ng worse yung condition niya. Parang mas lumalala pa yung kalagayan ng patient natin. So, yung pag-administer ng laxative natin is mali na yan. So, mali na to siya. So, yung choice natin is mali na to. So, yung sa letter C is alam na natin kay mali kasi yung laxative pwede siya mag-worse pa ng condition ng patient. So, i-highlight na natin siya, which is mali to. So, yung naiwan dyan is yung letter B and letter D. So, may choice na tayo 50-50 na possible sa kanilang dalawa yung may tamang sagot. Pero before that, identify muna natin yung letter B. So for letter D choices, we have encourage ambulation after meals to promote digestion. So meron dito. So may nakalagay dito for choices letter D. For choices letter D, encourage ambulation after meals to promote digestion. So i-highlight natin yung encourage ambulation after meal. I-highlight natin to siya. To promote digestion. So, ambulation is help for, yung ambulation dito, nag-help siya for, meron tayo nag-help po siya for constipation. Tapos, during acute ulcerative colitis, patient dapat need ng rest. Tapos nakalagay, pwede din pag sanapin ambulation, pwede din na siya like yung activity can increase GI motility. Activity can increase GI motility. Tapos pag sinabi natin GI motility, pwede siya magkaroon ng more
diarrhea. So, ito, alam naman natin pag ambulation parang kanang siya o not a priority. Intervention siya pero hindi siya yung priority. Pwede siya gawin natin like nursing intervention siya pero hindi siya most priority talaga for patient. We have with the patient meron siyang acute phase of the disease. Kumbaga nasa instant stage na siya. So, yung number 1 kasi, letter B kasi, ito yung mas possible na pwede natin gawin intervention. Kahit alam naman natin na nursing intervention to, pero ito talaga yung pinaka-importante pagdating sa acute phase of the disease. So, yung sagot natin dito is letter B. So, i-highlight mo natin which is ito mali. Alam naman yung nursing intervention siya, pero mas not pa talaga siya like very nurse intervention for the acute phase of the disease. So, yung tamang sagot natin dito is letter B. Bakit B? Kasi pag sinabi natin B is correct because ulcerative colitis causes continuous inflammation of the colon leading to frequent watery and bloody diarrhea. This results significant loss of fluids and electrolyte, which can causes dehydration, hypovolemia, and electrolyte imbalance. So, yung choices sa letter B, sa number 2 is letter B. So, yung sagot is B.
So, for question 3, a nurse is caring for a client admitted with acute severe ulcerative colitis. The client suddenly develops marked abdominal distension, high fever, tachycardia, and decreased bowel sounds. Which of the following action should the nurse prioritize first? So we have the option A, administer the prescribed anti-diarrheal medication like yung loperamide to reduce stool frequency. Letter B, encourage increased oral fluid intake to prevent dehydration. Letter C, notify the healthcare provider immediately and prepare for possible diagnostic abdominal x-ray. And letter D, apply a warm compress to the abdomen to relieve cramping. So, yung sagot dito guys is letter C. Letter C yung sagot dito. Pero, tignan natin bakit yung A, B, and D mali. So, tignan natin muna yung A. So, bakit hindi A? Sabi sa letter A, administer the prescribed anti-diarrheal medication para ma-reduce yung stool frequency. So, this is so wrong and dangerous pa siya. Kasi sa acute severe ulcerative colitis, and lalo na if may mga toxic megacolon signs na bawal tayo magbigay ng anti-diarrheal medication like yung mga loperamide, opioids, o kahit yung mga anticholinergics. Bawal siya. Bakit? Kasi pinipigilan nito ang normal na paglabas ng mga stools, gases, at yung mga toxic sa colon. Pinipigilan ng mga anti-diarrheal medication ang paglabas nun. So which is, yung result dito is lalong lumalaki ang dilation sa bituka. At tumataas din ang pressure sa loob. At mas mataas ang risk ng perforation. Nagkakaroon ng risk ng perforation if magbibigay tayo ng anti-diarrheal medication. Which is pwede ito mag-cause ng peritonitis, sepsis, or even death. Di ba nga sabi, i-avoid yung mga anti-motility agents, yung mga narcotics, at anti-diarrheal sa gantong cases. Kasi baka mag-cause pa ito ng sepsis or mas lalo pang lalala ang problem. So, mali yung letter A. Cancel out natin yan. Tignan naman natin yung V. Sabi sa V, encourage increased oral fluid intake to prevent dehydration. Oo naman, sa severe ulcerative colitis, sobrang laki ng fluid loss dahil sa profuse bloody diarrhea. Kaya prone talaga sa dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, at hypotension. Pero kapag may mga sudden abdominal distension plus may mga signs of systemic toxicity na, may mga high-grade fever, tachycardia, and decreased bowel sounds. Ito naman yung mga classic presentation ng toxic megacolon, which is life-threatening and emergency na to siya. Sa gantong sinasyon, hindi na safe ang oral fluids lang dahil baka mag-worsen ang distension kung may partial ileus na. Dapat, yung ginagawa natin dito ay mag-NPO na tayo. NPO na to siya. Plus mag-IV fluids. And electrolytes aggressive replacement na. And if mas lalo pang lala, baka surgical consult agad. Surgical consult agad na to. And yung dehydration is a big concern. Pero ang immediate threat dito ay ang potential perforation o sepsis mula sa dilated toxic colon. Kaya hindi ito ang first action. Priority muna natin gawin ang recognition at notification para ma-diagnose at ma-manage agad. So, i-cancel na natin yung letter V. Tignan na naman natin yung letter D. Letter D. Sabi sa letter D, apply a warm compress to the abdomen to relieve cramping. Warm compress, pwede siya sa mild abdominal cramping, sa regular ulcerative colitis flares, para mag-relax ang muscles at mais ang discomfort. Pero kapag suspected na dito ang toxic megacolon, huwag mag-apply ng heat. Bawal yung heat. Bakit? Kasi maaaring i-mask nito ang worsening symptoms like yung tenderness or rebound, o kaya mag-stimulate pa ng inflammation at mag-worsen ang dilation. Plus sa acute toxic phase, ang focus ay hindi systematic relief muna, kundi ang focus nito dito ay yung safety at rapid diagnosis or intervention. Yung heat application is a low priority at potentially harmful kapag may systematic toxicity na. Instead, ang gagawin dito, yung comfort measures na gagawin natin dito ay positioning. Pwede yung mga knee to chest position if kaya ng patient. Pero ang priority pa rin natin dito ay medical notification at imaging. Kaya, i-cancel na natin yung letter D. So, yung answer dito is yung letter C. Letter C yung answer natin dito. Kasi, top priority natin na identify natin na yung healthcare provider. Kasi, nagsashow na ito ng classic signs ng toxic megacolon. Diba yung mga sudden abdominal distension, may fever, may tachycardia, and decrease na yung bowel sounds niya. Kaya dapat agad natin i-notify yung doktor o yung healthcare providers. And then, i-prepare na siya for possible diagnostic abdominal x-ray para i-confirm yung dilation at i-rule out yung perforation. Sabi nga, diba, early assessment, imaging, NPO, IV storage, at yung antibiotics at possible surgery kung walang improvement. Dapat talaga i-notify natin sila para mag-diagnose ito. Kasi nga, early action can prevent mortality. So, yun na nga, the correct answer here is letter C.
A 24-year-old patient with Crohn's disease is admitted with a severe flare-up. The patient reports 10 episodes of water diarrhea per day, abdominal cramping, and fatigue. The provider prescribes intravenous corticosteroids, which nursing intervention has the highest priority. So, the question is asking which nursing intervention has the highest priority. So, for our choices, we have A, encouraging the patient to ambulate in the hall, B, monitoring the patient's fluid and electrolyte balance, C, providing a high-fiber diet, and D, teaching the patient relaxation techniques. So first, we have to eliminate the two wrong answers. So first, letter C is not the correct answer because high-fiber diet is contraindicated during flare-ups. It may worsen diarrhea. Then letter D is useful but it is not the correct answer because it is secondary to preventing complications. So we're only left with two possible answer, which is A or B. So A is encouraging the patient to ambulate in the hall. B is monitoring the patient's fluid and electrolyte balance. So our correct answer is letter B. So but first, why is letter A is not the correct answer? Because A is important, but it is not the priority or the highest priority. Letter B is the correct answer because severe diarrhea can lead to dehydration and electrolyte imbalances, which can be life threatening.
So my topic is all about a patient with ulcerative colitis which is suddenly develop a severe abdominal distension, fever, and tachycardia, which diagnostic test is most appropriate to confirm a life-threatening complication. So bali dito, may choices tayo which is the colonoscopy, CT scan with contrast, C is abdominal x-ray, and D, barium enema. So dito nga po, para po mas maintindihan po natin yung isang question, kailangan po natin siyang ulitin ng 3 beses. So bale, kung ulitin natin siya ng 3 beses, mas maintindihan natin yung subject natin, which is saan tayo po focus, yung problem natin, and also the supportive statement na maaring magbibigay ng idea sa'yo pag sumasagot. So bale, yung focus nga po natin is all about diagnostic test, yung mas appropriate na ma-confirm na life-threatening talaga yung isang complication. So, first is, kailangan natin mag-eliminate ng hindi kasama sa question. So, dito nga, unahin natin yung A. Bakit ba hindi colonoscopy? At bakit siya mali? So, as in this, bali in-explain ko na po siya at nilagay ko na dito para mas maintindihan po natin o mas maintindihan po natin na habang in-explain ko to, which is nababasa nyo rin. So, although colonoscopy is the gold standard for diagnosing ulcerative colitis, it is contraindication in this situation. So, bakit nga ba siya contraindicated? Because nga, yung air insufflation and mechanical manipulation can cause bowel perforation in suspected toxic megacolon. So, bali, pag suspected ng toxic megacolon, syempre, nagko-contraindicate ito kasi nga may air insufflation insufflation and mechanical manipulation na maaring nga mag-complicate pa po sa condition ng ating patient. So next is B. Next is B. Yun na nga po yung CT scan with contrast. Bakit nga din po siya mali? So, yung CT scanning can identify colonic dilation and complication but it is not for the first line test. So nga, inahanap nga natin ano bang yung life-threatening na diagnostic para ma-identify natin na yung ulcerative colitis na ito is na life-threatening nga. Yun nga, life-threatening siya sa isang patient. So, bali, ito yung diagnostic na to diagnostic na to is makakapag-help na may identify kung ano talaga yung kondisyon ng pasyente kung malala na. So, bakit nga ba hindi CT scan? So, yun na nga po, CT scanning is identify colonic dilation and complication but hindi siya first line na gamitin pag life-threatening na yung pinag-uusapan because mas tatagal pa to at requires ng contrast at may delay the urgent management in medical emergency. So, yun nga, pag CT scanning, madami pang proseso para po ma-identify po talaga yung isang bagay. So, lastly, meron tayong the barium enema. Bakit nga din po siya mali? So, yung barium enema natin is contraindicated because nag-introduce to ng contrast and pressure na maaaring mag-severely inflame and dilated colon significantly increase the risk of bowel rupture. So, nga, life-threatening na nga yung condition ng patient, tapos saka i-barium enema niya siya, so maaring na i-complicate niya po masyado yung condition ng pasyente. So bakit nga ba? Yung from the word na bowel rupture, so magkakaroon na possible pag barium enema ka is nagkakaroon ng bowel rupture. So, pag nagbabowel rupture siya, mas lalong lalala yung kondisyon ng pasyente. So, dito, balikan natin yung colonoscopy, even na gold standard siya, pero sa life-threatening situation, ay hindi siya applicable. So, mali na siya. Next is the CT scan. Mali din siya kasi nga, matagal yung proseso. Due to the reason, kailangan na nga natin na malaman yung ano nga bang situation ng isang pasyente. So, yung barium enema naman, nagkakakos siya ng bowel rupture na it may complicate the patient in the following procedure pa ba or following hours. So, yung golden standard talaga pag may life-threatening yung isang pasyente or diagnostics test para malaman talaga na life-threatening yung complication is yung abdominal X-ray. Bakit nga ba? Yung abdominal X-ray is the most appropriate test because it is rapid, non-invasive, and reliably confirms toxic megacolon by demonstrating marked colonic dilation, usually greater than 6 cm. So, ano ba ibig sabihin nito? As we all know, yung X-ray is through radiation. Hindi siya invasive sa katawan natin. Due to the reason na parang chine-check lang niya yung imaging kung ano nga ba yung problem ng isang tao. Tulad nga dito, pag mako-confirm mo siya through mako-confirm mo siya, syempre makikita mo sa image kung may toxic megacolon ba yung isang pasyente. Tsaka from the word na demonstrating marked colonic dilation, bale nagkakaroon talaga ng marka pag yung isang tao na meron ng toxic megacolon na problem. So yung abdominal X-ray kasi hindi siya rapid tsaka invasive kasi due to the reason lang siya through yun na nga radiation nga na na ini-emit papunta sa body natin para makuha yung isang image. So yun nga, bale unang gawin natin para mas maintindihan natin yung isang question, kailangan natin siyang ulitin with 3 times. Then after that, kailangan natin siyang intindihin sentence and the subject, also the supporting statement. And then after that, kailangan po natin ng elimination. So pag kailangan natin ng elimination, dapat alam din po natin yung mga bagay na kailangan nating i-eliminate, which is hindi siya connected sa topic. Like tulad nito, life-threatening nga siya, even na yung colonoscopy is a golden standard, pero hindi pa rin siya kasama. Kasi nga, yung focus nga natin ito yung diagnostic test para sa life-threatening siya na complication, which is yun na nga yung toxic megacolon. So, dito pa lang sa A, mali na. So, yun, i-eliminate natin. Sa CT scan, probably pwede, kaso nga, yung problem niya, bakit hindi siya pwede, syempre, masasabi natin yung CT scan is non-invasive, tsaka it using magnetic para nga po ma-determine kung ano yung problema, pero nga siya matagal yung proseso. So yung sa barium enema naman, ito siya invasive siya, tsaka nagkakaroon ng bowel rupture na it may complicate later to the patient. So yung yung answer talaga natin dito is abdominal X-ray, which is rapid siya and also hindi siya invasive sa katawan, and also saglitan lang yung procedure dito.